You are probably killing your best ideas because you are terrified of 5 minutes of silence. Think about the last time you were standing in line at a grocery store or waiting for a friend at a coffee shop. What did you do? You probably pulled out your phone within 3 seconds. Most people today would rather feel a literal electric shock than sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. That sounds like an exaggeration, but it is a scientific fact that reveals something pretty scary about how our brains are changing. If you feel a sense of panic when your battery hits 1%, or if the idea of a long walk without music sounds like torture, you aren't just bored. You are experiencing a psychological phenomenon that is draining your creativity and your happiness. By the end of this, you're going to understand why your brain treats boredom like a physical threat and how you can flip the switch to actually start enjoying your own company again. There was a famous study done at the University of Virginia where researchers put people in a room by themselves. There were no phones, no books, and nothing to look at. The only thing in the room was a button that, if pressed, would give the person a painful electric shock. Before the experiment started, everyone said they would definitely pay money to avoid being shocked. But then, they were left alone for just 15 minutes. The results were wild. 67% of the men and 25% of the women chose to shock themselves rather than just sit there in silence. One man even shocked himself 190 times. This tells us that for many of us, physical pain is actually better than the mental discomfort of being bored. We have reached a point where we are constantly on. We have a tiny supercomputer in our pockets that promises we never have to be alone with our thoughts ever again. But here is the problem. When you avoid boredom, you are actually avoiding yourself. To understand why this matters, we have to look at what your brain does when you aren't doing anything. Scientists call this the default mode network. Think of it like a screensaver for your mind. When you stop focusing on a specific task, like writing an email or playing a game, this network kicks in. This is when your brain starts connecting dots that it couldn't see before. It starts processing your memories, thinking about the future, and coming up with creative solutions to problems you didn't even know you had. If you never allow yourself to be bored, you never turn on this network. You're essentially keeping your brain in task mode 24/7. This is why so many people feel burnt out, even if they aren't working hard. Your brain is exhausted from the constant input. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water, but the water never stops pouring. Eventually, the bucket overflows and makes a mess. You need the drip to stop so you can actually use what is already in the bucket. So why does it feel so itchy? Why does it feel like a literal physical craving to check your notifications? It comes down to dopamine. Every time you see a red notification bubble or a new comment, your brain gets a tiny hit of a feel-good chemical. Over time, your brain gets used to this high level of stimulation. When you put the phone down, your dopamine levels drop and your brain starts screaming for a fix. This is why 5 minutes of waiting for a bus feels like an hour. You are essentially going through a mini withdrawal every time you aren't being entertained. This constant need for input makes us reactive instead of proactive. We become like ghosts in our own bodies, just following the next shiny thing. The challenge is that the more we run from boredom, the lower our tolerance for it becomes. The climax of this struggle happens when you finally decide to put the phone in another room and just sit on your porch or stare out a window. For the first few minutes, your brain will lie to you. It will tell you that you are forgetting something important. It will tell you that you are wasting time. It will make your skin crawl. But if you can sit past that 10-minute mark, something magical happens. The anxiety starts to fade. Your heart rate slows down. You start to notice things, the way the light hits the floor, a weird memory from 3rd grade, or a solution to a fight you had with your partner. This is where your real self lives, in the quiet moments between the noise. People who fear boredom are usually just people who haven't met themselves in a long time. They are scared of what they might find in the silence, but usually what's waiting there isn't a monster. It's just clarity. Learning to be bored is like a superpower in the modern world. If you can stay calm when there is nothing to do, you become much harder to manipulate and much more focused. You start to live your life on purpose. You don't need a constant stream of content to feel okay. You realize that being alone with your mind is actually one of the most interesting places you can be. It's not about throwing your phone in the ocean, it's about proving to yourself that you don't need it to survive a 5-minute elevator ride. The next time you feel that itch to scroll, try waiting just 60 seconds more. You might be surprised by what your brain has been trying to tell you. The next time you feel that itch to scroll, try waiting just 60 seconds more. You might be surprised by what your brain has been trying to tell you.